Oh, well.
I have never been this excited for a podcast.
Dude, I'm fucking amped.
I'm so amped right now, dude.
I'm wearing a t-shirt that's 2 sizes too small in honor of what's about to happen today.
Yeah, and I'm actually wearing, let's do a quick Mouse Powell
2
merch
sizes
plug.
too big?
I am wearing a Mouse Powell t-shirt that my good friend Mouse Powell.
Mousepowell.biz.
Yep. Go get
Mousepowell.biz.
Go get your merch.
I want one.
Well, here, let's shut up, you guys. Let's introduce our
Assert dominance.
Let's introduce our guest. We got to keep this under control somehow. No, I'm just kidding. Today we have 2 very special people. One of them is our boy Mouse Powell that you all know very well, and the other is our resident alien expert, Danny Torgerson.
Oh, hey. Yeah. More of an enthusiast, I would say.
And we decided,
afraid.
so we planned this episode a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Was it like a month ago?
And this isn't even a normal day for you guys, I don't think, right?
It is actually.
Yeah, we
okay.
usually do it on Wednesdays, but so basically we decided we wanted to have a new installment of the podcast where we would bring on our 2 good friends and we would talk about what, Danny?
Non-human stuff.
Yes. Yep. And there's nobody more qualified in my friend group, personally, to speak on non-human activities than it's you. And I love the way that I just love that you dress the part and you have the knowledge, and I am so fucking
I was already
excited.
wearing this, actually.
I know
I'm
you
excited.
I want to believe.
Yes, and before we get deep into the realms of what might lie outside our existence, I want to note that we have spent a lot of time over the past 2 years with both of you in the studio. Danny is a very talented musician, multi-instrumentalist.
Multi-dimensional.
Yes.
That'd be so good.
Multi-dimensional, but yet, you played all over the new Mouse Powell album that we are continuously working on and finishing right now.
I mean, it's very exciting. And it's true that we just happen to talk about these things when we're together.
Yes.
I'm obsessed, I guess, would be a good word for it. And it seems like you guys are too, a little bit on the radar.
I have always been very, very fascinated with extraterrestrial life.
Right.
So I remember seeing the Phoenix Lights when I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah,
I love when this happens.
So I remember being like, I think it was 97, right?
I hope, yeah.
97, 98, around there.
I don't want to say it wrong.
I know you're scared. Everybody, Danny's so afraid that he's going to get attacked by the community, but
they're hardcore. I know them well.
I won't let them.
Yeah, we will protect you.
Yeah, Bill will protect me.
No, we're just here to have a good time. I mean, let's go. Mouse, where do you stand on aliens? Do you believe in?
I didn't used to, and then Danny and I did a tour together, and it was I think like a combination of 3 or 4 8-hour drives. And at the end of that 32 hours, I was like, I believe they're here. They're watching me right now. I need to cover up. I need the tinfoil hat. I'm on board.
It really does come up in the van. This is not just an exclusive phenomenon for you.
When we were working on the album, I remember we were up at the cabin in Flagstaff.
Yeah.
And you guys went down a 3-hour Tom DeLonge rabbit hole. DeLonge.
Yeah. I feel like most of the time when we're hanging out, I end up talking to you about Tom DeLonge.
You always come at me with questions, which I love.
Well, dude,
and I don't know how I sort of became a point man on accident by just tangenting all the time on the subject. And it's really a treat because people ask the best questions, and I usually don't know the answer, but it's really fun to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So I remember when we were all in Flagstaff, we were obviously recording your stuff. Danny, you said something that blew my mind, and you said that some people believe that real aliens actually look like they do, or look like they're depicted in movies and TV shows, and that people do that on purpose so that if you see a real alien and you describe it and it sounds like something that was seen in a movie, they can discredit you and say that you imagined it.
Well, there's all kinds of, that's a whole situation. I don't know if we want to get into the aliens in movies quite right away.
Okay, yeah. So how about we start where you want to start? Because I know
I should talk about how I became to be a point man on accident on the subject.
Let's do it.
Really, it's because I guess my UFO journey, if you will, began with the Bob Lazar tapes. And back in the day, you had to watch them on, I think it was like 12 parts, right? Because YouTube didn't have.
How old were you when you take us back to like what age were you?
I don't know. Must have been like 17 or 18.
So we were in high school.
Yeah, just after high school. I wasn't cool in high school.
Yeah,
But
I
after.
I thought you were cool in high school.
Oh, well, thank you.
And for people that don't know, I went to
We go back.
I went to high school with Danny. So
That's so crazy.
yeah, I remember coming to watch your band play in that garage in Justin Arway's garage, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the first time I met you. We were probably 15 or 16. Anyways, go
That's
back.
epic. Yeah, it was later, a little bit. Honestly, it was part of a whole realization process, but basically questioning like most worldviews. And I ended up dropping out of college and going a little bit crazy. And it was a beautiful time though. It was a beautiful time to question everything. And the Bob Lazar tapes really stuck out to me. It was called Excerpts of the Government Bible. That's Bob Lazar's original video that he self-launched on VHS by mailing 1,000 copies out on the same day to try and protect himself, so people would know.
Did you have
if
an
he
OG?
disappeared? Why?
Did you have like an OG copy?
No. I watched it on YouTube in parts.
Oh, okay.
How much do you think those are worth?
So
now?
you might
Oh,
have
dude!
to.
Oh my God! I would love to see an original Bob Lazar VHS.
So maybe for people that aren't, because obviously some of us already know who Bob
Yeah,
Lazar is.
I wanted to make
give
sure.
us a
yeah.
short, maybe give the audience like a short description of who Bob Lazar is.
Yeah, it's easy to talk. It's like a Misfits fan, right?
I know.
They know everything about the Misfits, and they just assume that you do too. Right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like,
It's like, oh, Wolfgang.
right? Yeah. I should preface. Yeah. That Bob Lazar is considered to be one of the greatest UFO whistleblowers in history, because he claimed to work at Area 51 as almost like kind of a contracted scientist, and he decided that he was going to try and blow the lid off of the fact that the American government at least has retrieved crafts and is attempting to back engineer the technology.
So I thought that happened recently, just because he was on like Joe Rogan, and then he got the Netflix
That's
release.
what's so interesting
It's
about
been a long time.
about the Ark.
All this stuff happened so long
Because what
ago.
happened this morning? Because today we randomly had the Senate or the Congress subcommittee hearing on the UAP phenomena, and it feels like almost like part of the Bob Lazar story, right? Because they're sort of saying the same thing, but Bob was saying it in freaking 1989,
And
right?
getting death threats.
And I think that before the internet, it was easier probably to like squash and discredit people like Bob. They
They're
went
like,
as
listen to this prober.
yeah,
Did
they went
is
as
that how
far
they
as
call
to scrub his education,
Oh,
yeah, no,
to
I
say
mean,
that he's lying about ever even going to college, right?
They-
Making him sound like a nut.
was
They
he
went
able to
through-
prove that they did that?
Just that he had friends that said they went to school with him, and then
They went through and they
But,
like just
they were-
physically got rid of the physical documents, right? Because that's like before.
Yes, right. Some Men
Before
in
the-
Black stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think just before the internet, it was easier to squash everything, so that's what they did. Whereas later, after the internet, it seemed like it was more so that they just had to control the information, right? Or at least make it so murky that you can't even tell what's true or not. But the Bob Lazar tape stuck out to me beyond everything that I was watching. I just could tell he was telling the truth for several reasons. And yeah, it stuck with me deeply. And that's what I showed so many friends when I was trying to wake people up, quote unquote, to the question. Because it's really not, the question isn't as simple as, are we alone, right? Which is sort of an age-old philosophical adage, right? It's really much more distressing, because it's more like, are they here? Do we have their stuff? What does that mean about everything? The aspects that are hidden still, and the effects that it has on our psyche to still be in confusion about something that's already proven true, that means a lot to us as a species. So it's a very perplexing, giant discussion, I feel like it's so hard. Even we have an hour? I don't even know how to do this.
Yeah.
But that's how I got started, was Bob. And then it happened that later on, I was just friends with friends that happened to be going to UFO conferences. And I couldn't afford a ticket, so I just offered to be a volunteer, like an AV person, because as you know, if you're in a band, you know how to run a mixer and plug in cables and fix problems and do all that stuff, right? And so I just became like a volunteer at what's called the International UFO Congress.
And when was that first time you went?
2010, I think, was
Okay.
my first year. So I guess this is quite the journey now, 13 years now. And during that time, I watched basically every presentation, probably by everyone that you've seen talk on the internet about the subject. And then even on top of that, I ended up being the guy that usually put the lav mic on them. So there was this whole crazy like personal experience that I had with a bunch of them. Sometimes I'd try and ask them a couple questions, or sometimes we'd just talk about hilarious other things or not talk at all. And some of them are complete dicks. I don't mind like saying that on the internet or even pointing them out because fuck those guys.
So have you ever had the opportunity to meet Bob Lazar?
So Bob came, that's a whole thing. And so that's what blew my mind. Like, it was like watching my dreams and aspirations about the subject in general, not just for me, but for everybody, seeing it sort of unraveling before my eyes as I'm working the conference. Because I'll never forget this guy, Jeremy Corbell, shout out, we'll go to it right away because he's part of my story. He shows up to the conference and he's kind of the new guy in town and he's got a lot of confidence. He looks different. He's young. He's got tats. He's got a beard. You know, he like dresses like modern. Whereas like a lot of the people in the subject are like pretty dry. Like, you know, a lot of them are older, which is fine. This has been going on for a long time, sadly. And
Yeah.
in terms of us having to talk about it like
Yeah.
at conferences instead of just like
Yeah.
in open public.
Yeah.
And so Jeremy came in swinging, dude. And he was obviously a filmmaker also. And he had already made a fantastic film, which is his first film, I believe, about Roger Lear, who was very famous in the community. He removed abductee implants, and that's why he was so well known around the world. And Jeremy did a...
Hold on.
Wait.
Jeremy,
Pause,
no, it
let's
doesn't
pause.
matter. It doesn't matter.
No, let's pause.
Jeremy did an amazing doc on him. And so it was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right? And he even ruffled feathers. You know, that's what happens when you just come in swinging.
Okay, cool. Let's go back to this whole thing of removing
You just glossed
implants
over that?
from abductees.
I'm just talking about Jeremy's movie.
I know. So
You gotta tell us what that
kind of
is.
implants? Wait, can I really quickly? What is
They're
this?
usually kind of mundane and strange, and we are having trouble even. If you send them to a lab, they usually say this must be meteorite, and that's usually the last word on it because they don't want to say, "Did this come from aliens?" Right?
Yeah.
But meteorite's a good way to say this is not from Earth.
Where are they implanted?
All over.
All over.
All over.
So, what is the fascination with anal probing and?
Are we really gonna...
Yeah.
Are we gonna go
Let me
there?
just
on-
finish my arc, okay?
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
let's...
well,
We should get into
wrap
that
back
though,
up.
because it's kind of hot. It's one of the
It does
it's one of the
keep coming
juicier
up, like-
parts of the story. But Jeremy said to us at dinner, and I thought he was cool. I thought he was awesome. We needed his energy.
So this was after the first UFO conference that you went to.
Yeah, this is maybe like 4 or 5 conferences in. So
Oh,
I've been
okay.
coasting.
And-
And he's like, I'm going to bring Bob out of hiding. I'm going to make him tell a story again. And we're going to tell it better. And we all were like, sure, whatever you say, Jeremy. Like, good luck, because Bob had been MIA ever since he was basically called a kook by the entire Western media.
So, did he hide because he was like scared?
No, I think he was over it. He was
Yeah.
like, well, it's not working. So
It's like making his life... It was making his life worse.
well, yeah, and he was like, he got like cited for some like crimes about like having materials, and because he does some like garage science shit. He's a true punk. He is like the true punk of like this discussion. I love
yeah.
Bob Lazar, and Jeremy did it. All of a sudden, Bob was at the con, dude.
The documentary is awesome.
The documentary is awesome.
What's it called for people that might want to like watch it?
I should know it exactly. I just look up Bob Lazar documentary because
I think it's titled Bob Lazar on Netflix, right?
Something
The-
like that.
The recent one.
yeah, you'll find it.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
And yeah, to see that happen was like a childhood dream. It was like, oh my God, Bob's back. Bob's back. That was the best story. That was the most important story because it was about that we already have proof. We already have proof, right? And
Yeah.
a great ufologist, Stephen Bassett, who I saw many times at the conference, and I'll end my story with this. He said one of my favorite quotes about this subject, which is a lot because I heard a lot. he said it angrily, which I appreciated. He said the problem isn't lights in the sky. It's lies on the ground.
Ooh.
That's a bar.
Yeah, that's a bar.
And
Get him in the studio.
dude,
Let's go.
It shook me. And I remember that, and he talked about the truth embargo, if you will. Like basically humanity split off at a certain point when we stopped getting the drip about the truth. I mean, we never really had the truth apparently, but we could have known
Yeah.
decades ago what's
Yeah.
going on, and it could have maybe had a huge impact on not just our psyche, but technology. And maybe still some of our technology is actually from some of that. We just don't realize it.
Do you
Yeah.
think that if they just dumped everything that, like, if they really gave us the truth, do you think we could handle the truth? Like, as like a world, do you not think it would cause chaos? Because I think it would cause fucking chaos.
What do you think?
Oh, you're
I
getting
have a long
squirmy.
big question. I have a long
I
big
mean,
answer.
dude,
Well, religion often comes up as some sort of stand between, right? Something that doesn't work with that type of modern worldview. But that's not true. It's not. The Vatican has said all kinds of sketchy shit about this.
yeah.
The Vatican Observatory, which pretty hilarious that they have one. They obviously know a few things, you know, and they came out and they said aliens would be our brothers. They said they would gladly baptize an alien. Why the fuck would the Vatican say that?
Yeah.
If this, you know, and so like, and that's straight from Christianity, right? Or at least OG Christianity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other religions, you know, and the way we've been inundated with media, science fiction about the subject, it doesn't feel like a new concept in any way. I mean, we've been a long way since George Orwell made people jump out of windows, which apparently that was sort of a lie, you know.
Yeah, I've heard that was kind of a myth.
Yeah, I mean, they said the same thing about LSD, right?
Don't
do it. They'll jump out of a window.
yeah, so this morning, coincidentally, literally hours before we are filming this podcast right now, the Congress hearing. What exactly was that?
It's so creepy that it happened today, dude. How did that happen, dude?
Can you kind of explain to us what that was?
Yeah, and that's why it felt like, again, like I hate to just be such a Bob fan,
Yeah.
but it's like this proves him true. Because now there's another whistleblower who's more of a suit, you know? And it's funny that you call him a fuckface when we were in the...
Well, I didn't know what was going on yet.
He comes off a little bit that way. He's
yeah.
very much still trying to play by the rules, which is concerning, right? Because the rules are what got us here.
Yeah.
In this fog of unknowingness.
Well, right when I turned it on this morning, his attitude was like, "Oh, I don't like this guy." But then I realized who he was, and I was like, "Oh, he's like the main.
Yeah,
he's the main new whistleblower."
The thing is that basically this guy David Grush,
Yes.
and you know it kind of goes back to the Tic Tac video, and for anyone that hasn't seen that, just look that up. And that was a New York Times revelation on at least that the Air Force knows about UFOs.
That's
basically.
Commander Fravor, correct?
Right. So he was there. And then that Ryan Graves fellow was there, who or almost sort of represented almost the civilian aviation aspect. It was cool. There were 3 witnesses, right? There's Fravor, who's addressing that the military observes the UFOs. And then there was Ryan Graves saying that the civilian aviation has noticed this, and it's actually really dangerous that we're not allowed to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And come on, like,
Dude, I'm amped.
It's fucking crazy, bro. It's nuts.
and then the third and the most important guest, and they should have just honestly, I didn't care about anything that those other dudes had to say. I wanted to hear from David, dude, because David Grush says that he is also the newest whistleblower on the block, and he says that he was given the task by one of these new Pentagon agencies, because I really think they're trying to act like they care all of a sudden because they're trying to cover up the fact that it's a cover-up. And so they created all these agencies in the last just few years to address the UFO phenomenon.
Is that the new UAP term?
Well,
Because that used to not be a
what
term,
is it?
was
Well,
it?
and the UN... I guess this is important too for people that are fresh to the conversation. I keep saying UFOs because I'm a diehard romantic about it. And that's where we came from, you know, on the subject. And I feel like UAP is an important adjustment. And I'm glad that it's happened. Not only because the word UFO has been ridiculed for decades. Apparently, incorrectly.
Yeah.
But the term UAP is technically much better because we're trying to address the cool stuff in the sky, not balloons and birds and bugs reflecting light and all kinds of stuff, right? And there's an easy way that you can tell that this isn't one of those things. And it's whatever in the sky is doing crazy shit that humans are not supposed to be able to do with modern avionics.
And
What does that stand for?
that defies our like current understanding of physics and
yes,
quantum
and that
mechanics, all that kind of
represents
shit.
that small percentage of UFO reports that's like kind of legit, right? Because, you know, animals and balloons can't do that stuff either, right?
What does the UAP stand for?
So, okay, here's the thing. UAP originally meant unidentified aerial phenomena.
Okay.
And it's all about the P, baby. It's all about the P.
Those are the X-Files right there. The P is the X-File.
The P is the X-File.
P-files.
The P is what makes the difference. And you know,
Yeah, we're gonna clip that.
Let's go, dude. Get into it.
let's go.
Welcome to Piss Talk.
because we want to talk about the phenomena, right? Not just flying objects, because that could be anything.
Yeah.
In fact, UFO was a term perpetrated back in the day to try and discredit and muddy the waters. That's why the media grabbed it, because it was easy to discredit people. Oh, a UFO could be anything. No, it's a P. It's a big old P. It's a phenomena, and it's doing things that we don't understand, that defy even our concept of general relativity.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to figure out how interdimensional travel and interstellar travel are possible, any of that. It's just doing crazy stuff in the sky. There's no exhaust usually. There's no sound usually. It is moving at 90-degree angles at speeds that would kill any man.
Dude, so that was one thing that I really thought was cool about that hearing was that they just kept being like, do you think this could pose a threat? Yes or no? And all three of them just in a line are like, possibly yes. 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 Definitely possibly. Like, and then dude.
But if they said no, they would be able to be like, how is it possibly not a threat?
I also really like that
Is Mouse's mic on?
Yeah.
Can you hear yourself?
No, not at all.
Oh, I can.
I
hear
just
him.
want to make sure his mic's working because I can't hear Mouse through my headphones.
Tight.
Is he?
I hear you.
He's
You're
good? Okay, sorry. I was just making sure.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And honestly, that actually is one of the more concerning parts to me.
Really?
Because, and this is my concern in general with Congress or the military or even the ex-military being the ones giving us the final say. Because they are the ones responsible for the truth embargo, right? So it's almost like it's like some Stockholm syndrome shit, right? It's like letting your captor set you free and thanking them, right? I've never wanted the answer from the government because I always assumed it would be a lie because that's all they've done.
Yeah.
So we don't really want the answer from the government, right? We want the answer from chaos because that's how we're going to get those flowers that pop up like Bob Lazar, like David Grush, right? Mm-hmm. I was under the impression because the Pentagon had made these new alphabet soup programs, right? Arrow, I think, is the newest one on the block, ARRO or something like that, where they use the word anomalous, right? Because that was the journey of UAP. Originally, it was unidentified aerial phenomena, but the thing is, these things are going in and out of the ocean, so they had to change it. They're like unidentified anomalous phenomena.
So they're like, that was something that was shown in like video, or like there was like military fighter jets with video of these things dropping into the ocean, right?
Yes, and that's a common sighting that's been cited by ex-Navy for decades. Mm-hmm. The Navy has just as many sightings as the Air Force.
Well,
What about like commercial pilots? Is there a lot
yes.
of that? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Commander Fravor's account of the Tic Tac shape?
I think that was one of the things that turned Mouse.
Yeah,
okay,
it was.
because
I don't know anything. So.
Well, dude, his story. Do you want to kind of talk about Commander Fravor because he was one of the witnesses that was on the board this morning?
Yes.
For that hearing, and
well, it's impossible to discredit his Air Force service. He's like one of the best pilots out there.
these three people are like highly reputable people that are sitting here.
I know,
Dude, I really thought it was...
Okay, here's what fucked me up. So we'll go back to Commander Fravor, but Grush, dude, when I was listening to Grush talk, the craziest part was that the questions they were asking him, he was basically giving yes or no answers, and he couldn't.
He's very smart. He knows where the line is.
But he could, yeah. But
and he's trying to walk it perfectly so that he's not illegal.
You know, like for example, one of the questions was, do you have biological proof? Are there biological bodies, basically? Are there bodies from the crash that are in, does the government have those? And he basically says yes. And then she asks a detailed question after that. He says, I cannot give it in this public setting, but I can in a private
Well, and I don't know if you caught
afterwards.
on, but they kept referring to what is a classified setting where they're allowed to talk more openly about this stuff. And he kept saying that I can only answer that question in one of those.
Yes.
But they were saying that they asked for one, and the intelligence community said that they couldn't do it.
Okay, I have one other
So
big question.
They're really trying to keep the lid on, dude. I don't know. And I don't know if they can. It's so exciting.
I know it's... Dude, it's really exciting. But my other question, just playing on the other side of things, what if someone was to say to you, hey, Danny, like, yeah, this is all cool and exciting and stuff, but is there a possibility that all of this is happening right now and being pushed forward as a government psyop to further distract, the American people and just scatter people even more and confuse people even more to then gain more control over them?
It could be both.
Can I give pushback?
Do you understand?
Can I
like
give pushback on that?
Yeah.
What if it's the opposite? What if they're like I saw right after that conference thing, they announced like a bunch of Trump indictments and like things related to that. What if they're trying to distract from that congressional hearing? Like, fuck, Rabbit might have gotten a little bit out of the hat right here. We might need to release.
Let's arrest Trump.
So, what's up?
Like, are you saying like,
let's back to Trump drama, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good
exactly. Like,
plan.
let's go back to the drama you guys are comfortable with. We're going to talk about January 6th instead of
because you got to think it's like, why would they just now start releasing stuff? You know what I mean? Like the Pentagon and like,
Well,
Right.
it, like conveniently before there's elections coming up and all that kind of stuff. So it's like,
so I'm obviously here with you on the side.
do you
Because-
think about this, right?
Because it's and David even admitted that there are programs that are designed specifically, and I think they were even more intense during the Cold War and such, to basically muddy the waters on this subject as a solution.
Well, it's just so obvious, especially,
but-
sorry to interrupt you, but over the past few years, it's very obvious that the government is not willing to admit when they don't know something and then when they do know something. So
Well, yeah, but
it's
see, here's the thing: is that I feel like they were trying to do the slow rollout, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Tom DeLonge was a part of that.
Yeah.
Because Tom was reached out to by like kind of high, creepy government people, almost as like we think you could almost be a voice in the pop culture world to kind of help us roll this out safely, right? Something that doesn't disturb civilization, right? But I don't think David's part of that because it feels personal.
It doesn't feel
with
like they're a
David.
part of that.
No, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It feels personal with David, and not many people know David's exact story. I always tell people to go back. There's a website called The Debrief, and that's where Leslie Keene broke the David Cruz story. And if you haven't read that, you really don't know his story. So I tell everyone to do that. Maybe we could post that somewhere.
Okay.
And
See, the website that Mouse goes to called The Debrief is just a bunch of people taking their briefs off.
I
Yeah.
love that website. Yeah.
It's mostly just you.
It's people
Yeah.
unbriefing.
It's a lot of
themselves.
tour footage.
It's boxer briefs.
Oh, that's how I met my girlfriend, actually.
I thought it was
Anyway,
really
yeah.
interesting that Fravor, when they put him on there, they asked him like on the spot, like basically like, why are you here? And he was just like, I'm here to just add some credibility to this story.
Yeah, he said that his friends goaded him, basically.
Yeah.
But it was cool because everyone had a different story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan, so here's the thing about David, dude, and it's hilarious that like bureaucratic old white guy hell that America is, and American government is, it's finally like eating itself right now. Because basically like all these dudes in Congress are annoyed that they're not privy to this elite information when they're supposed to be the oversight committee, right?
Yeah, their wives are at home being like, you don't know about this? And they think that they're top shit.
No, right. And there is this whole black ops community that is privy to this stuff that aren't even like sanctioned by the government apparently. And those guys think they are the coolest kids ever because they're flying like what may be back engineered spacecraft. Yes, you're fucking cool.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I think we all want to have that experience, or at least see it, or be around it, or you know what. And I think that's always the danger with elitism, right? Is that you think you're the shit, and other people can't be allowed to know about this, right? And really, I think
That's terrifying. To me, the most terrifying thing is
and that's the thing about would society crumble, is that these guys have always made that the excuse for keeping this a secret. But really, I think secrecy just gives them power, and that's what they're focused on here. And it's just all about that. It's all about superiority, military superiority, national defense. That's why I didn't like that question.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because they're making it sucks when the UAP phenomena gets turned into saber rattling, and you can see that happen all the time, right?
What is saber rattling?
China, Russia, America, all just measuring dicks.
Okay.
Who's got the biggest sword?
Wait, so this is like kind of, I know you're in the middle of something, but,
That's I mean,
but
yeah.
like, so is there, I know that like UFO or UAP, I guess they're called now, sightings are like all over the world, but is it more American than anywhere else, or?
Oh no.
What's like the most reports of? Is there like one spot that is the most reports out of anywhere else in the world? Because there has to be. Like,
Aliens
technically.
are global, baby.
But is there like
And
a
they've been
government?
global. They've been global since the beginning of time. And I use the word usely. And I think it's cute that now they say off-world and like non-human. It almost feels like the progressive, like safe way to talk about extraterrestrials, right?
We don't know how they identify.
Right. No, and I mean, it could be terrestrial, it could be dimensional, it could be temporal.
Oh, let's
We
go,
won't even go
dude.
there. And
Let's go.
And there may not be a difference if you actually think about the way physics works. So I think it's just important that we just get these answers from David, because David said in the hearing that he told them where the locations are, and that basically it's just still caught in a bureaucratic like shithole that they can't just go like raid the place.
Can you explain to me why he's able to give yes or no like answers on specific questions, but he cannot talk about specifics? If he's already coming forward as a whistleblower in general, why can't he give? Is the extra information that he wants to share but can't, is it classified in he legally
Different
can't?
levels of classification.
So like he legally can't because of the levels of
It's
classification.
probably like the difference of
Yes,
being like
exactly.
Snowden, where you have to go to Russia.
It's a national defense question, which is always like the tragedy of it always being that national defense is why we finally talk about it.
Yeah, or one of the
Because we're scared about if we're safe, or if the big bad aliens might attack us, or China, Russia might use their super hyper drones to kill us all. You know what I mean? Like, it's sad when it's about war that we finally care about this subject. But I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, sure, national defense. Whatever, guys. Let's finally talk about this.
Because it could be the biggest thing to happen to war, and it could be like this life.
You can
as
say the
we
same
know
about
it ending.
AI, and we're just wheeling that like children.
But on the other
Yeah.
hand, it could be the one like secret ingredient
It's
that we're
insane.
missing for like pure like enlightenment and education, and like actually getting to that next step, which would in fact make us aliens.
This is always
right?
our technological double-edged sword, right? I mean, with AI, it's this way. With nuclear energy, it was the same way, right? We could build a bomb or a power plant. It's up to you guys. And the same thing is going to be true for whatever it is that's in these back engineered crafts.
because like one is like literally the cleanest and safest energy, even though there's been like one big
remember
spill,
I said,
but then the
I
other
said
one
there's
is
no
the most
exhaust
destructive
trail
thing in
from
the
these
world.
things.
Yeah.
So if our government in fact does have, these
Is it our government though, or is it like these creepy like
that's what I'm
Boeing like sort of like
You think big
black
airplanes
op?
behind it?
let me
They're
ask
the
you
ones
this.
that build. They're the ones that build our stuff.
Let me ask
true.
you this. So
Lockheed Martin.
Is there an
fascinating deathbed confessions by Lockheed Martin?
Would
Sorry.
you say more would you say more than likely that there is an arms race to figure out this technology?
100%.
Well, there absolutely has to be because
Whoever has the info and whoever
so
has
what
the
other
knowledge
countries
wins.
have stuff in possession? We
And
don't know. though.
David says that in the debrief article.
What does he say?
He says that that this is part of what is like a decades-long multi-country double Cold War to retrieve craft and try and get the
recreate it.
technology working.
Yeah.
And now Bob Lazar said that they couldn't figure it out, but that was in 1989. So who knows where we're at now?
Yeah, like what if you have AI working on figuring that out?
Yeah, it's a fascinating situation. And, you know, I get the arguments for keeping some things a secret, but that's what's beautiful about David Grush's position. And if you read his debrief article, it says this. He says, I think it's possible to tell people, yes, there are non-human, off-world incursions without telling them, like, what technology we have and all kinds of stuff like that, or how it works or any of that. You know what I mean? I mean, this is just a basic, fundamental human truth that we should probably address. And I think it's cute that he cares about that. But honestly, I really think he has a problem with those guys. And that's seriously where I think it's coming from, which is hilarious. Because he sued, people don't know this, he sued the Department of Defense or whoever, the government, because when he whistleblowed through all the proper channels, because there's these new whistleblower rules, and he followed all the right steps, and he said they still harassed the shit out of him afterwards.
Oh, dude, I bet.
And they revoked all his clearances.
Like, which one of these guys are going to show up dead in the next, like,
well, but see, now they can't because it's so public,
It's
right?
so
I mean,
public,
that's the same
yeah.
reason Bob Lazar made 1,000 VHSs instead of just a couple.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't feel like David is part of the plan, is what I guess where I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
It feels very
his
he feels slighted, and now he's just gonna tell the truth just because fuck you guys for harassing me and my family.
Yeah. What are his credentials again exactly, Grush?
Just extreme like intelligence positions. He was even part of the task force tasked to investigate UAPs, one of the new task force. And he apparently was part of handing the keys off to these next people, and these next people say that there's still no evidence, right? So there's still some obvious gatekeeping. These agencies are obviously just meant to try and hide the fact that we know everything already.
Yeah. So what was the last?
They want to leak it out, like, oh, that's crazy. Oh yeah, aliens are real.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What was it? What was the last? What was the last statement from the Biden administration about this stuff? Because they brought that up in the hearing.
I think that Biden's Pentagon or whatever, if that's how you say it.
Wow.
I don't know. Well, because people like they try to attribute this to different administrations.
Yeah.
But
You think it's
obviously,
beyond that,
this is
yeah.
way beyond presidents. I
For
mean,
sure.
we're talking
Right.
about all the way back to Roswell, maybe.
Yeah. Well, no, someone
Is,
brought
is
it
Roswell like the beginning?
Oh, baby.
Do you
Oh,
think
dude, I have to pee
Roswell's
so
like-
bad. Actually, I'm gonna step away. I can't get into this yet. I'll be right back in 1 second.
Okay.
Roswell's like the 0 on the AD scale, baby.
Do you
shit.
think that because Roswell's also right around the time of a lot of like incredible technological advances,
Nuclear.
nuclear advances is like very like paired up with like the Manhattan Project, all that kind of stuff. Do you think do you put a lot of those advancements credited to this stuff as well?
No, I'd say with nuclear stuff, I say it's the other way around.
Do you think that this was more like the
I
hey,
think
we're ringing your doorbell because now we've gotten to this point?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it was intentionally ringing the doorbell.
Yeah.
Right,
But like
yes.
we opened up Pandora's box and they're like, fuck,
Right.
they got the key.
Yes.
All right, we got to go check in on these guys real quick.
100%.
Okay.
Because it's very likely that this planet is much more valuable than just our species.
100%.
And that it's been probably valuable to the entire universe for some time.
Yeah.
We are just here right now.
That would make a lot of sense.
Let me ask you this. This might lead to a new conversation, but do you think, based on like, you know, all the stuff you know with your friends and the whole committee and stuff that you've been a part of,
Yeah, the
Is
UFO
there-
nuts.
the UFO nuts? No, I love it. I think it's
Oh, I know, but we
interesting.
like
Yeah,
to call each other that shit.
for sure. Is there an overall feeling from everyone that's more excitement, or is there a lot of people that actually have a rational fear of, you know, extraterrestrials coming and actually visiting our planet because they're trying to figure out how to possibly take over or like
Well, and-
like that, because that is a
And
possibility.
And Mouse pointed that out. There was a hint of that in the committee.
Well, that's some of the
Which was,
questions they
are
were
we in
asking.
danger of an alien invasion was the subtext of those questions, I thought.
No, for real. I mean,
And here's the thing, dude. Like, I don't think it's that simple. If
like
you,
we always want to turn everything into
if
the
you do the math. Well, yeah, and that's what's always cute about
black and white
about
kinda-
alien questions. Is a lot of people are like, well, do you think they're like this, or do you think that they feel this way?
It's based on movies.
or do they want this, or what do they want? And it's like, There's probably a bunch of them, actually. If you do the math, right, like I was going to bring up the Drake equation. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the Drake equation is great for anyone that is still even on the fence of if this is even possible, which there may be people out there. But the Drake equation was developed in the 60s, which makes it hilarious. Because even then, it was an equation that factored in how many habitable planets theoretically are in the universe based on how many, the generation of star rate, basically, over the history of time. And also, like, you know, things about habitability and like if we don't blow ourselves up and all these interesting factoids to try and make an equation for how many other civilizations may actually be in the universe. And the number was super fucking high. And back then, we had a very small estimation of stars. In fact, every few years, we usually multiply the estimation of stars in the universe. So if you actually do the Drake equation now, it's like there's no doubt that not only are there extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, what was the word? Extra-tempestrial.
Oh, can we please get into this?
Wait. So Drake did all this?
Yes. Yes.
So
And with no auto-tune.
that was always the one thing that really rubbed me like the wrong way with naysayers is like if you look around just Earth, the amount of species that exist.
We're still finding species on Earth.
How could we possibly think that there's nothing beyond the atmosphere?
Don't we know like 60%? We don't know 60% of the ocean,
Right.
much,
Yeah.
something like that. So it's
Well, and that's what's funny that there's all these
And they're coming from the ocean too. I don't want. Okay, but can we go just gradually down?
But I think there's
to-
probably thousands of entities in all kinds of shapes and sizes and forms from all kinds of places and times. And that it's like a giant fucking insane universal party.
Think about how much we could learn from us, like.
But are we even ready? I mean,
I know
we only
beings-
have so much of a visual light spectrum to deal with. I mean,
I want to go with Mouse though. Like, what is it? You keep saying this?
Can we go down the tempestual route?
Yeah, what is that? I know nothing about it.
We did a show that was like 3 hours out of town, and it was right after, I think, the last year's UFO Con, and I was like, okay, what'd you learn? Go ahead, lay it on me. And he laid this on me, and it broke my fucking brain for like 2 months.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Are we about to go interdimensional right now?
We're about to go intertempestual.
Oh,
Wait, what? All right, so
don't
can
know
you
if
spell
I'm
it out?
saying
Is
the
it
right word.
I guess
TMT?
intertempestrial would be a proper term.
Because they're temporal.
Take me to Time Town, Daddy.
that sounds like a Mars Volta album.
This is. I'd listen to him. Wait, so like temporal, like your brain, temporal lobe?
Like time.
Yeah, let's get burpy. Let's go.
Oh, this is
this is so much fun.
this is so fun.
My favorite thing
I feel
to
like
do,
we're legit just at camp.
my
right now.
favorite thing to do is to take these long, like 8-hour conversations with Danny, and then try to like regurgitate them to my friends.
You just
And
sound
see what their faces
Just
are.
completely like botch all of the information I'm giving them. I
Bob
don't know.
John Lagarde. and,
Bob John Lagarde.
Bob John Lagarde, and he did in your temporals
Area 69.
is tempura battered aliens.
David Frazier. It was when he was in Seattle with Nigel, but it was. But no. Can we please go down that rabbit hole just
Yeah,
slightly?
please. No, I need to know. I've never heard about this.
You know, I think we might as well go there.
Yes.
Because it is what I'm into right now.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
We talked about how I got into this.
Yeah.
We talked about where we're at, which I gotta say, today with the committee hearing, it didn't necessarily feel like Christmas, but it felt like a really good birthday. You know, because in a lot of ways, so many people were proven right. So many people that have been ridiculed their entire lives or professional careers, and that hit me, baby. I got chills just now thinking about it. Because whatever, I can handle being called a fucking psycho. It's probably true. But
Yeah, you probably got some calluses on that. So.
but yeah, for all these people who really sacrificed so much to get here, today was a beautiful day.
Yeah. It kind of shows you too.
But now let's sorry, what are you gonna say?
Beautiful day.
No, it just kind of shows you like if what they're saying is in fact true, how brave you have to be to relentlessly search for the truth and be willing to like chase that down, even if it depends on like your safety and your family's safety.
Yeah, and everyone's saying you're dumb.
Yeah.
And I didn't care, like, dude, the cons, I could tell. Those were my people. And now if everyone else is getting into it, let's go, dude. I'm ready for the rabbit hole to just, like, metastasize.
Do you meet people at that conference every year that are very unassuming? Like, oh, this person does not look like they would be here, and they're just like very normal.
Can we go?
Suit-looking people.
Can we go?
Yeah,
with
we should
you?
all go.
Yes, let's go.
Could we actually go?
When
I
is that?
think we can
Next
even
year?
try and set up a thing where we
Can we
do
do
a
an
thing
Astro
there.
camp?
No, that's what I mean. Like,
Oh, let's
At the
do
con?
it.
yeah, let me talk to the organizer and see.
When is it?
Because they try to have people come in and do little casts occasionally.
That'd be so sick.
It would be
dude.
nice because obviously, like, the injection of the youth and the next generation of this subject is helping the boiling point actually take over.
Speaking of boiling point, are your glasses fogging up? Are you
Yeah.
that
I'm getting
passionate
really-
right now?
I am getting really passionate.
I'm peeking.
Uh,
I'm peeking.
I'm
steaming.
peeking.
Wait, yo, we're gonna go back to the tempestrial
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah,
right?
so-
Can I pee really quick?
Yes.
And then
Yeah, go
when I
pee
get
and
back,
then
we talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dude.
I guess we could talk about funny UFO stuff.
We
Oh,
can-
yeah. Can we go into the anal thing? Because it's seriously a real thing. They're
mean-
always talking about their, like, everybody always in the early days said butts.
Is this what happened to your bussy?
Yeah, you did just go through a multiple surgery.
I am in the final stages of the Bussy War. It's true. But I think that I've heard so many different theories on that it's hard to pick one.
Yeah, well, I mean, just say a few. Or even, like, just, spark notes.
So
Rattle a couple
so
of your
here's the
favorite
thing.
links off.
Here's the thing. Apparently, we generate an electromagnetic field
Yeah.
just how the Earth does.
Right, yeah.
It's this.
I mean, that's how our hearts work and everything.
yeah, it's this.
That's proven.
It's this toroidal thing. It's like this.
okay.
You can probably see it on my face.
Right?
I've
It's
never
like-
heard this before.
Yeah, so we're making this toroidal electromagnetic shape, basically,
Okay.
with all of the electricity that's coming off of our radiate, because we're literally
Yeah.
radiating.
Cool.
Well, any energy kind of creates.
Yeah, we're a
electricity,
we're
right?
a heat
Yeah.
source, right?
Yeah.
And so that creates this column of electromagnetic energy that goes directly down your spine, basically.
Yeah.
And then out through your anus, right? And this has been addressed by actually like many ancient cultures, right? They call it the Kundalini energy, right?
Okay,
In the
yeah.
East. And they say that the Kundalini energy passes through your chakra system.
That's like with the yoga.
Right. And so in a way, it's almost like with the yoga.
Well, it's called Kundalini yoga, right?
Yes, of course, of course.
I'm not just talking about all yoga, but yeah.
No, I know what you mean. And I that was one of the theories that captivated me the most.
Okay.
Was that they're actually tapping into sort of this like next level energy aspect to our existence that we're not even that perceptive to.
Well, it's probably the biggest hole on the body that you could put something in that wouldn't kill you.
That's true.
Like, because if you just shove something down
oh,
your
is
throat,
that,
you
is
can't
that
breathe.
true?
You can't breathe. You
we'll
die.
have to
so like,
experiment with
they can just leave it in there, and you can. I mean, I've seen videos where people walk around all day.
For sure.
All right,
We got,
Showers
to,
is
we got
back.
to the butt stuff while you were out.
All right. Time travel. Take me there.
What are you guys talking about?
We were
We're just
talking about butt
the butts.
stuff.
So
Anal.
anyway, I guess that's my favorite theory. I guess
Do they
I'll
have
say.
like in your like you and all your people? Not to sound so mean with the way I just said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you really
But,
just gotta.
Yeah, that got a
Is there
little
nicknames for like
discriminatory.
oh like they're a probe or like they believe in like
You call us
like or like
normies?
you know what I mean? Like there's got to be slangs where you're like oh that's a so and so where they believe in a certain thing.
No, not really. We just get called dumb and wrong and and pathetic and
It seems like one of those communities that would be it like everybody wants it to happen, but there's got to be a lot of people in there that kind of just are there for argument and
well, I think like any community, people almost start to guard it when they feel like it's theirs.
yeah.
Or they're a part of it, right? And I think even you're seeing some of the growing pains of that because a lot of people I know who are very passionate about the subject, they're on the fence about a lot of this new stuff and the Joe Rogan attention and the idea that there's this whole new generation of young people asking questions about it. It's almost like they're like, oh, who are all these people at my special annual get together. Like you guys, I mean, I guess you're invited.
Yeah, you
And-
never even bought a No Effects CD.
Right. It's like I said, it's like a Misfits fan, right? They ask you what your favorite Misfits song
Name
is.
3 songs, and Mother wasn't Misfits. That was Danzig, baby.
But yeah, I think all those, fuck all those people, dude. The truth is coming, baby. I feel it. And even if we don't get the whole truth, we're getting closer.
Danny,
I felt that truth, I will say, when I saw this fellow. He's an anthropologist by trade. He has a PhD in anthropology, and his name is Michael Masters. And we DM on IG pretty often because he's into music. And actually, we've been talking. We were like, dude, we need a jam session at the next con.
What does he play?
I was like, yes, we do. Guitar, I think.
wait, should we do at the next con? We should do Astro Camp episode and then a open jam session.
An open dude.
Oh, that'd be
because
so
he's drums
sick.
and I'm bass, so everybody else
That
is
would
gonna
be
play other
fire.
shit.
Honestly, we're making moves though, because this last time we had like a costume party, which we never do, and it was lit, dude. People
Dude, we
Dude,
could
I
write
can't
a
imagine.
song
There were
and
people
you just rap
table
about
dancing,
aliens.
dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it hornier than like a furry fest? Do you think
oh, there's a lot of sexuality at the cons.
it's electricity?
A lot of anal stuff.
Yeah,
They're
I
getting
mean,
probed in the bathroom.
well, I feel like a lot of
Those
people,
two fellas
a lot
are
of people that
probing.
want to talk about this all the time, they like have trouble going on dates, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're,
Not you though, dude. You found one that was just your
Oh,
girlfriend
dude.
is just like
One
you,
of our-
and she's perfect.
I think
for
our
you.
third date was she came to the con.
Really.
And I was like, because I've invited girls in the past. To
that
the
when you-
con,
is that when
and
you
they
knew?
always don't show, and I'm always just like,
Who needs girls?
not the one.
I'm gonna go get probed in the bathroom.
But yeah, she came to the con, and dude, she was taking notes.
Oh, that got you.
Yo,
huh?
so when I was younger, remember when Signs came out?
Of course.
We were probably, I was
I
13.
thought you said science, and I was like, that's ran out, dude.
Signs.
You've been
Mel
Signs,
Gibson.
bro.
The movie directed by
Dude.
the champion Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
No, not directed.
No,
by-
it was M. Night
M. Night
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Oh, sorry. Mel Gibson was in it. Sorry.
Yeah. Pre
Before all the
anti-Jews.
Jesus
Yeah.
stuff.
Pre-anti. Okay, yeah. That movie scared the shit out of me, dude. I was 13 and I had already been having dreams. Like, I used to have this reoccurring dream where I would wake up in the middle of the night, it'd be like 2 a.m, and I would open my blinds and aliens would be standing in my yard, like hiding behind a cactus with their head like poked out, just staring into my window.
That movie fucked me up.
The
Dog,
scene.
when it
I
ran
came home
across?
the other day and my girl was watching that movie
Dude,
and I was
that-
like, off, turn it off.
Dude.
It has to go off. I can't watch it.
The fucking scene specifically when the alien walks by,
that's
the party,
legendary.
Oh, that's
dude, that shit
dude, I watched
scared
it
me
again,
so
and
much.
that happened, and I didn't even flinch. And I was like, "That's the part." But I remember I was like 12.
You're like, this just happened in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was like 12 or 13, and I remember waking up and I was standing in my parents' room as if I was 7, just standing by their bed, like, "What am I doing?"
I
was
slept
scared.
after
was
going to the movies to
terrified.
see that movie. I'm fucking 13 years old. I had to sleep in my parents' bedroom on the ground because I didn't want to sleep by myself that night.
I love it.
It scared me, dude. And I would always have reoccurring alien dreams, and I don't know, it's just crazy.
What do you have a favorite alien movie show? I mean, X Files is like the goat. we were in
Honestly,
the
my-
studio, and I
my
was like, "Dude,
favorite-
I'm watching X Files. You
My
need to get into
favorite
it again."
space movie of all time, I guess.
Thank you.
Is
I
a
got
good
you.
way to maybe address it.
Yeah.
Is Event Horizon.
Okay.
Because I love that it's also a horror movie, but I like that they address, and this is a good segue.
Into the time.
Even though they accidentally go to hell, they address space travel in a different way. And I remember being young and being like, oh, right. Like they accidentally go to like a hell dimension, right? Instead of to another planet.
Yeah.
And they were talking about physics that we're still talking about trying to use in terms of folding space-time. If you remember the scene from that movie where he makes
What
the 2
movie?
points and then Event Horizon, and he puts the pencil through it.
Oh, that's Event Horizon.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that we are, at a very early stage of consciousness, maybe. We're not that far from the animals. We have somewhat of an edge, it appears, even though we have a bunch of shit going wrong also. But there, I think, are certain laws to the universe that once we figure out how to break them, just the way we perceive existence changes. And you have to connect space and time, right? And it's hard to do because that's our box, right? We're in the space-time box. Those are our parameters for function.
That's our comfort for everyday life.
And that's argued to be what is called the fourth dimension, right? And I always remember being weirded out by that, right? Because remember when they say we're three-dimensional entities, right?
Oh shit, that's four. That's four.
We're three-dimensional entities, but our experience is the fourth dimension, right? Space-time. Our experience together, let me preface, is space-time, right? And the thing is that you can't travel space without time passing, right? It's kind of so basic that it's hard to comprehend fully, because we're just in the car, right? We don't necessarily know how the car works. We're a passenger in a way. Now, people say that the fifth dimension, that almost like the way your imagination or the dream state feels, maybe is some sort of window into whatever that is.
Okay. Or like psychedelics, maybe?
Or is that?
I like how every once in a while he just looks at Stevie.
So the guy that came in with the...
Stevie, are you still in, dude?
I do like this nondescript
I'm going to drink some, actually.
dangerous milk elixir that you brought.
I did make this.
You're on your way. You're on your way to Time Town.
Something that always blows my mind is how funny it is that human beings think that they know anything. We don't know anything. Nothing.
Okay, so
And so basically, since space-time is locked, we need to change the way we talk about space travel, right? We're all familiar with sort of like the Einsteinian paradoxes that come from a movie like Interstellar.
Yeah.
Where there's sort of time paradoxes created by and this is an old science question, is like, if you send an astronaut all the way out this way, going the speed of light or whatever, which is considered to be our max speed possible, they come back and everyone on Earth is like old. Remember that story? Like, that's like a common adage and it's supposed to be true, right? And this is even true about the way that atomic clocks work when we shoot them out into space. They come back, it's a different time.
What's an atomic clock?
It's considered to be like the most on-time clock ever, the way that it works.
Okay.
And so what they do is they send atomic clocks into space with astronauts and bring them back, and the time is different. And this is just a tiny speck of what I'm talking about, right?
Okay.
Which is like the astronaut comes back, all his family's dead, whatever, his kid's like 80. And so,
all his family's dead, whatever, his kid's like 80.
I'm just saying we're all familiar with that concept in a way, if we're into sci-fi. And so we need to think of it as no difference. Space travel is time travel. There's no way to traverse space in any sort of interstellar meaningful way without it also being a time experience.
Right. we're talking about us going from here to New York.
Anyone going anywhere.
Here to New York is a different time
Anything.
thing.
No,
We're
no.
talking about that far.
we're talking about people coming to here.
That's fair.
Anything
Sorry,
going.
I don't mean to. derail it.
Anything going anywhere, basically.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
And so, basically, this guy, Michael Masters, has a new word, and he says extra-tempestrial. And I thought it was quite profound to make that distinction finally, because it was a great segue for him to point out that a lot of these entities are very humanoid. Especially the entities involved with what is considered the abduction phenomena, which I believe is true just because I literally know abductees, but everyone can do your own research.
Yeah. Define humanoid. Just
like a human. Bipedal, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, a certain amount of appendages.
Limbs.
And a stature, a shape.
Okay.
So people talk about having all kinds of humanoid alien experiences.
Yes.
My bad, y'all. I'm gonna fix this.
It's okay. Some people say that they see people that look like you and me, but they're just like from some utopian peace and love, please save the world. They get that kind of message, abductee experience. But then other people say that they see these like 3-foot weirdos, right? That don't talk, that don't even seem to have like some of the things that we recognize as a human feature, but they still have the shape, right? Or they seem to be almost emotionless in some of these experiences. Now, I know this is a stretch because this is all based on abduction stuff. But even if most abductees are lying, there's enough common threads in their experiences to try and build at least some theories out of it. And obviously there's just there's also a lot of repeat shapes of crafts, okay? I know it was funny today, this morning, they talked about the Tic Tac and they talked about the sphere and the cube and the sphere thing, which is really trippy.
Yeah.
And then that dude said a football field-sized red square came out of the ocean. Was my personal favorite.
That's
quote.
fucking.
Wait, they said that today?
That's
Yes!
crazy.
so insane.
See, that reminds me of isn't Independence Day is the big ship that comes in over like New
Yeah.
York or some
You
shit.
did not
right?
just shoot that green shit at me.
Over DC.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, so sorry, my microphone was falling down. Did we come with did it happen? Did you guys already say the entire
No.
thing? Okay.
No, we're on our way. We're on our way.
No,
We're
so
sorry. I just want to make sure I didn't miss.
No,
like,
we're-
the
I feel
most
like I'm trying
important
to be
part.
too thorough almost.
No, I like it.
Basically, this anthropologist was saying that it seems very likely that the humanoid phenomena of the abductee and UFO phenomena, or even the craft aspect, right? That it very well may be some sort of humans from the future, and that they become basically shorter and less human depending on the proximity of time between here and where they're from. And
So they're
Michael Masters started to explain essentially
Yes.
an entire portion of the UFO abductee phenomena, which he was saying that actually all of the humanoid-ish beings, the grays, the tall whites, the albinos, I'm just throwing out hilarious stuff right now.
that really
people are
what
like,
they are?
albinos are aliens? No, it's just some weird like slang that people have for all these different aliens.
I was about to say something.
He said the tall grays, the tall whites, the Nordics, the
these all real?
Pleiadians is a really cute one.
Are these all real ones?
Dude, people are so fucking funny that we just have to like identify it to something like,
I know.
oh, these just look like corgis, so we're gonna call them the corgs.
I'm just saying that these terms
Yeah.
for different
But those are legit terms, at least that people say.
in the UFO and abductee community. Because they're trying to address the consistencies in people's experiences, right? That's what science is all about. And he's saying that it's probably us, and that's why we're obsessed with ourselves, because we're fucking obsessed with ourselves.
yeah.
And we're obsessed with our sustainability on the earth, right? And we're also obsessed with and there's a whole reproductive system aspect to the abduction phenomena that abductees say that it's like it has to do something with reproduction, that they're fascinated in that aspect, that people say that they're like being used to make hybrid babies, and that they're even asked to like care for hybrid babies and all this weird hybridization genetic stuff. But if you think about the preservation of humanity, right? This obviously is a concern, right? About in the future, after certain apocalyptic scenarios, or even after we've done irreversible things to the way that the environment or genetics work, that we would need maybe to do this to go back in time.
Okay.
For a whole host of reasons. And the thing is that, sorry, and
No,
the thing
no.
is, and I should preface though, that this isn't that far off from the edge of modern physics, right? Because people are like, well, how do you go back in time? I get that. But in the quantum discussion, it often comes up that technically you could probably go back in time, only because after the wave particle thing that happens with the holographic experience. I don't know if we did.
No,
That's
I
a lot
had
to
no
talk
idea.
about.
You lost me there.
But anyway, the past exists, right? The future has yet to exist, ish. The future is a wave. The future is a spectrum of possibility, whereas the past is something that's already happened, right? And so I'm explaining it terribly, but there are physicists that believe that we eventually will be able to go back in time, to time travel. Or if we become spacefaring,
right,
we become time travelers anyway. So it's like, no matter what, humans are sort of destined to become time travelers, even if all they do is become spacefaring. And
Space what?
Safari.
Safari?
I'm here to dance late. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here
guys
to
spend
dance
way
late.
more time together,
Okay.
so I know you know.
spacefaring is a fun word for space travel.
Is it all one
travel.
word? Space safari?
I've heard.
It's like
I've
Ross
heard that
safari?
before.
Space.
Yeah. So I think are you saying they come back more as like objective viewers? Like they want to see what's going on and they're coming back as like a tourist trap?
I mean, it seems like because of the abduction aspect that there's more of a plot.
Yeah. Okay, here's my question. Back to kind of what Ryan said at the beginning of this. The same way that the same way that we're talking about how they've like conditioned us with aliens to be like, okay, well, you've seen what these aliens look like in a movie. Do you think they're doing that with the amount of time travel movies that are coming out? Because that is a huge plot line in like most movies now, is like a multiverse or some kind of time travel aspect.
I don't think it's as simple as these all-knowing elitists sneaking in the truth into our plots. Maybe that's happening sometimes by like CIA operatives. Even the X-Files, he said that the CIA would give them advice sometimes, and that they were in touch with people
were
from
the
the government.
X-Files real? When they made the show.
Yes.
Wait, were
I was like, wait a second.
Oh my
that
god!
It's
Is
my
this
favorite show.
t-shirt
It's my favorite show of all time, and I'm like obsessed with Scully.
wait, is that? That was so good.
It's a documentary.
But
I think that, and I believe also in the collective consciousness, right, of humanity, that we're sort of on to things together, I guess, if you will. And I don't know if you've heard like the crossword stuff or the 100th monkey stuff. Everybody look that stuff up.
No.
Just proof of the collective consciousness, basically. People say that there's been whole studies where people will solve crossword puzzles in a closed setting, and then those crossword puzzles will come out the next day, and everyone else solves them faster. Because
of the collective
there's also another
conscious.
thing called the 100th monkey, where this was actually done with monkeys, where basically there were monkeys on different islands, and they like this fruit, but if the fruit gets dirty, they don't eat it. And so I'm trying to tell this badly. But what they do is they taught some of the monkeys how to wash the fruit, and then monkeys on other islands started doing it.
Wild.
And so it's like I believe that we're just onto it a little bit. Like our nose is picking up the scent of what's
time.
up.
Well, I
The
think
scent of time. And so like we want to make movies about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason I think that humanity has been obsessed with this subject, because we know deep down that it's probably true.
Well,
so it comes out in our art, in our literature, in our films.
the whole collective conscious thing makes so much sense why social media would be so exciting for us, because we already want to be connected to each other in a very close way. So social media is almost this like illusionary way to like
exciting,
give you that.
but
It's exciting, but it's
if-
fucking
What if it's physically
dangerous.
happening? Because like I see that like everybody's taking mushrooms. Like I feel like mushrooms are more popular now. Again, I don't know if they're more than they ever have been, but it seems like everybody's taking mushrooms in like small amounts. They're doing it like regular like housewives are taking it to like get through their day and stuff. And so it's like, do you think that has anything to do with this like heightened like?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's the interest in consciousness, in our own consciousness, which I assume is related to that.
Yeah.
Then of course that is related to these other phenomenons, because those phenomenons make us question what it even means to exist, or
to be here and be a human
or
being.
to what these other entities, what their consciousness is like, or what our consciousness turns into.
Dude, another callback that I think would make this, that I couldn't separate when you told me this theory the first time, was back to like the atomic energy race and all of that stuff. That would make perfect sense why that's like the on switch.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, we are starting to really fuck up whatever resource it is that this planet has, and that might be humans. And we really need to not do that.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going back to whenever we advent all of that stuff.
Right, yeah.
And we got to, like, keep an eye on it. And that's why that would also make sense why there's, like, and I'm probably butchering the fuck out of this, but there are, like, a ton of UFO encounters where it's, like, all of the atomic energy shuts off at like a military base.
So many nuclear.
Like, they're like, oh, the button's
Yes.
on. We're about to hit the button. They're like, the button doesn't work anymore.
Right? Or yes, it's the decommissioning of nukes, right?
Yeah,
is the way
yeah,
they
yeah.
talk about it. And actually, there was
Wait, what? Yeah, go into
there
that.
was an
I've never
epic
heard
congressional panel like 10 years ago about this. And I remember thinking that time, I was like, oh, this is my... But there's something different about the David Grush situation. But yes, there's a long history of nuclear sites having UFO incursions, and even the UFOs, UAPs. Let's raise the roof on that. Let's do the P. Big P.
Pushing P, baby.
Big P. Phenomena. And
Dude.
that's my rapper name. And they turn the nukes off. And there's all kinds of stories. And I actually randomly became Facebook friends with one of these guys that came out from like decades ago. He was there. And I was always fascinated by that mouse because I think you're right. That obviously the humans are interested in not blowing up the Earth. And so it's funny that all of a sudden when we start making the nuke, there's like a consistent visitation now. And it's interesting because it's also related to the saucer phenomena. And now I know that saucers didn't come up today because apparently it's just like a geographical orgy or geometrical orgy in space, right?
Yeah.
We've got like cubes and cylinders and cigars and stars and orbs. Shit that doesn't even have like a
name.
Yeah.
I really loved when Fravor Hank Hilled it, and he's like, if you can't picture what Tic Tac is, it's a propane tank.
yeah. I heard that too. That shit was funny.
Dude, that was funny. Fravor was funny, man. I liked Fravor.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, David looked like he had an axe to grind, dude. I liked it. He was pissed.
Wait, so what were you saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
The saucer.
So
and-
I feel like, the saucer phenomena.
Did all that happen at the same time? Like, I know you guys kind of brushed over it. I haven't heard anything about it.
That's-
the like nuclear like
Saucer
boom in
sightings
America and stuff?
exploded
Okay.
right around the time that we developed the nuke.
Oh, okay.
And that's related to the Roswell phenomena. Right.
And they're like oddly in the same area, right?
Exactly. Out
Right,
here, baby.
Like, yeah. So like the Manhattan,
Southwest, very
Manhattan
mystical,
Project
strange.
was like right outside of Area 51. Am I? No,
No, it was in New Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's all like the same kind of southwestern
Okay.
quadrant of America.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Empty desert, uninhabited.
Yeah. And it feels, I wish that I could watch his presentation like 10 times, which is funny because he didn't like even have graphics. Like, I love you, Mike, if you're watching. But it was just like ideas and just like bullet points. And I was like, oh my God. Because it answered so many questions. It answered the nuke.
Yeah.
It checked that box.
Dude, it checks out.
It checked the box on there being humanoid entities and them also sometimes looking a lot like us, but also sometimes looking very distant. But then he brought up the proximity of where they are coming from. And it's obvious that like, at least some variation of humanity like becomes...
Even on like a super micro scale, like me pulling my phone out and then suddenly getting sucked into it, no longer wanting to be in a conversation with my girlfriend. Like I feel like that is like you multiply that times 100 years, and it would make perfect sense that like not even 100, 1,000 years. I'm coming back, and I have no interest in talking to you. I just want to know how you made a baby.
That's the thing is that like
How'd you do this before the tubes?
Did you?
people's abductee experiences get progressively like more concerning the like smaller that the humanoids get, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
When it's just the 3-footer grays, they get called a lot. With the big eyes, everyone's seen a depiction of sorts of that. These guys apparently are almost brutal, right? They treat us like cattle. But apparently they're abducting cattle also.
What is the most?
So they also treat cattle like cattle.
What's the most disturbing account that you're aware of an
Oh God.
abductee situation that also seems highly credible and seems real based on like what you've heard?
Well, and honestly, the most traumatic ones feel more credible because it seems like the people talking about them don't even like talking about it. Whereas some people are like, yeah, man, the aliens picked me up. They told me the secrets of the universe. I'm selling my 5 books out in the hallway. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's a lot different than someone that's like
that like doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and so I've seen several presentations at the cons where they bring up an abductee.
Is that like a testimonial?
Who you can tell doesn't like talking about it, and it's often riveting. I'd say probably the most famous, unpleasant abduction, traumatic abduction, is actually, he's from Arizona. It's the Fire in the Sky fellow.
Yes.
Dude, I've been hearing about this movie every single fucking day for the last 4
Watch
days
it,
since
bro!
we started talking about it. No, literally somebody every single day for the last 4 days leading up to this has
His
brought
name
up
is
that
Travis Walton.
It happened in Eager, right?
And yeah, he was famously abducted.
Was he the lumberjack that got taken away for a few days?
And so that's a great abduction story. For anyone that doesn't believe in abductions yet,
I'll watch it.
probably one of the best.
Remind us what happened to him.
So he was abducted in front of 3 friends.
Wasn't that northern Arizona?
Yes.
It's like where we're going to be camping like on Friday.
This is our moment. This
You're
is our
getting
moment.
probed this
Dude, we're
weekend.
gonna go. Oh,
If you wake up and you're a little sore, it's just because you got probed.
yeah. It's not me and you sharing a tent.
It's not us sharing
It's
a
like,
tent.
I think
It's definitely not you guys
hairy
splitting a
white
30
rapper
rack.
probed me last.
Did we get too fucked up last night?
no,
or did we
you're
get probed?
Yeah.
Probed. You were
Definitely
probed for sure,
yeah.
dude.
There were lights, all kinds of weird shit.
It's crazy. They probed me too, but my hand just stinks really bad now. It's fucking wild.
You guys could totally hook up with each other this week and then just blame it on aliens.
Yeah.
Dude, of course.
Wow, that sounds good.
All right. Anyways, let's go back to serious shit. Stop fucking around.
Travis Walton, he was considered disappeared by the police. And for days, they actually thought that his friends were lying and that they had murdered him and hid the body. And that it was like a very riveting, almost crime drama situation. And then Travis shows up butt naked, dude, in the woods. Like, it is like a movie, which is why it became a movie.
I mean, that's like every beginning to every X-Files
And then he
episode.
also came back and said, yes, I got abducted. And he has like very fucked up memories. And like he says if they weren't nice. They certainly weren't nice. And yeah, it's because they, were just a science experiment.
It's like how we would treat an ant, or
Yes.
if we were doing a study on.
Yeah, or
Like,
even how we treat
rat,
animals,
yeah.
right? Or laboratory animals.
Yeah.
And he Michael Masters, he brought that up. He was like, obviously at some point there's like an ethical breakdown by the time-space faring science community, anthropological community, that they start breaking rules or I guess there are no rules after a certain point. And it seems like the guys that look a little bit like us are like all about like just save the earth, don't hurt each other, war is bad. And then the 3-foot, the Greys. Not to talk. I keep saying 3-footers like being short as fucked up.
Are you afraid the Greys are going to hear this and they're going to come hurt you?
Bring it on, dude. I'm kind of ready to confront them. If they're just us, especially, I ain't afraid.
It would make sense though. Like if that's the trajectory that time takes.
It's like, oh, you're just human with
you
no
get
dick.
smaller.
Let's go.
You get smaller and fucking a little bit more aggressive.
That's so good.
Well, and who knows? There may be some variation of humanity that connects with AI or becomes some sort of symbiotic machine thing. Who knows?
But I also would imagine like it's just like regular tourism. Like when you feel like you're the first person in a spot experiencing it for the first time, you're like, you guys got a good thing going on here. Keep it up. Yeah, this is sick.
Yeah, and it seems like some contactees say that they have a great experience with the humanoids.
Well, you would think that like there's probably an educational, if that is true, if all this is true, and people are coming back to like look at us, which it sounds like they're. I don't know. I was kind of like, I wasn't a skeptic. I definitely believe that aliens exist, but I was kind of like, a lot of it I felt like could have been maybe like sleep paralysis or mental illness, and so to be honest, that's what I thought.
I don't think that some of it isn't that.
Yeah, I think that there's like a good cross section where that line gets blurred with some people, but all this stuff is like really interesting, and it's like it makes sense if you actually think about it.
Yeah, and I think we're finally at a point where our society is looking at things as a spectrum instead of a white, black, yes, no, right, wrong, good, evil situation.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that this subject is just a spectrum. There's probably interdimensionals you know, things from other planets. There's probably us.
Yeah.
And we're obsessed with us. In fact, you know what, dude? Though, if you were from another planet, would you actually be that obsessed with us? Like, wouldn't you go to the ocean
Would it probably be
and like
learning?
look at whales?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably also the same way that like Back to the Future, Marty goes back in time and he just wants to hang out with his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like fix what
Well,
he
it's like,
did wrong.
if you had the opportunity to go back and watch like the first primates turn into humans and like that era where they're starting to do it, kind of like 2001's Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Like if you had the opportunity to be like, blip, I'm going here, you would learn so much just to be able to see like what are the very early stages. Like, oh, I started from that.
and that's
Or if
what
you
Oh,
could
I
zoom
have a
in and
good
go into
theory.
like the amoeba of
What's
the.
that?
I have a really good theory that goes along with what you just said. What if aliens are just those little short fuckers that you said are mean? What if they're just the teenagers from the future that want to fuck with ants, that are taking their parents' spaceship and they're going on a space safari back to this time
It's
to
totally
fuck with
possible.
us? And
Dude,
they're
my
just
friends used to throw
laughing and
rocks
they're
at
anal
cats.
probing. Because you gotta say, when you were 14, you would have had fun in your parents' spaceship and go anal probe some people from the past.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I had a friend that used to throw rocks at cats like real hard.
Yeah.
I admittedly went to war with many anthills, you know. I mean,
Admittedly.
I feel like it is weird that there's such an obsession with us.
But if they
by
were
these crafts.
if they were in fact just coming here to like watch what we're doing, they got to be so weirded out by like the stuff we're doing. They're like, "Oh, look at them down there. They're like
They're still in the blog era.
they're poisoning their food. They're like
Yes.
fighting
Yeah, but
with
they
each
might be
other.
us,
They're
so-
fighting each other constantly."
But maybe also they're like, yo, we need less people actually down the road. So if you guys could, you know, I mean, this could go a lot of different
I
directions.
know, I know.
It could get very omniscient and omnipresent. And
What are your beliefs about it?
Yeah, what do you think?
No, I want to know what you
Because we're kind of at the point in this episode where we need to decide if we're going to go all the way and keep going for a very long time, or do we need to?
oh my God, we've already been doing an hour 20.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
hold on,
So,
let's-
no, I'm not trying to cut it down. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like it's kind of like this decision of, do we make this two things where we keep going, or do we? Because we have so much fucking gold here, but like this could be a great way to kind of tie this off. Is like, what are your beliefs after everything you've known, and all the little things you've said today? Like, how do you feel?
I love you.
Just because
I can't wait to zoom into it.
I am excited for us to discover our true place in the universe. And even if that means that part of our story is all kinds of fucked up dystopian things that make us have to go back in time and try and fix everything, that I feel so glad that I'm in this timeline. I feel like we're right on the edge of some, it could be so beautiful or so catastrophic. And I'm okay with it either way because it's going to be a movie. But I really can't tell you that I know anything for sure. I just can only tell you that I am excited. Today was really good, actually. It was like Christmas.
Dude, this was
was-
fucking amazing.
It was.
It was like
great.
Christmas, you know, because
I thought you were talking about this podcast.
but this is part of it. This is part of it. Because isn't it weird that we're wanting to talk about this at the same time
Yeah.
that these other people in Congress are wanting to talk, right? We are wanting to talk about this, right? We could have brought Bob out in 1989 and had this fucking conversation. And who knows where we'd be now if that had happened. And instead of dwelling on my frustration over that, I'm just like choosing to celebrate that we are where we are. And I really think that I have to give shout outs to people like Tom DeLonge, who was already a rock and roll hero of mine. For him to become a ufologist hero
Yeah.
was weird. It was kind of cool and magical. And to meet Jeremy before he really took off and see him do what he said he would do, you know, it makes me want to do that same shit and like make a difference. And I guess that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Is we're trying to bring this subject, you know, to the people. Let's talk about it in a fun way, in all kinds of ways. It doesn't have to be dry. It doesn't have to be in Congress.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be right or wrong. It just has to be.
I like earlier when you talked about the collective consciousness that we share as human beings,
Right.
because the podcast that we filmed earlier, me and Ryan went in depth about Kamp Fest and how it felt just being there. And to me, my experience there was this very heightened sense and like full realization within my soul that like we're all connected.
Yes.
And I don't know what that means, but it makes me feel like things are happening for a reason. There's even like a reason we're all sitting in this room together, and there's like this weird fucking thing going on that we like constantly think we're like separate from other people, but really like, even though like you're sitting right there and I'm sitting right here, like I still feel like a massive connection to you. So like,
Well, and I think,
and all of you guys, and it's like, what's going on there?
It's a
we don't, our consciousness I don't think is expanded enough, like you were saying earlier, for us to truly understand what it even is to be a human being and have this like experience of like.
but I like what you're saying. You're saying that maybe our consciousness is already expanded, and that we're just a drop of water,
or we just
in the ocean of the human consciousness.
or we're just not we're not
individually, maybe we're not. But
No,
it seems
I'm
like
saying-
at a collective level, we are.
But I'm
getting
saying,
somewhere.
like you said earlier, we have these. The way that we are interpreting the things around us are just based on what's been taught to us since we were born. And like, what if you don't have to physically be tied to someone to be still connected to them?
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like on a different metric scale, or like, I'm not doing a good job of explaining that, but do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and I think it's
Like
important.
we're still connected, even though we're not like, I'm not touching right now. We're still connected, and there's still something.
With taking like substances and like going into like drugs and shit, because like they are
Fine,
fun.
I'll
They
try.
are fun, but like I remember like being like young and like
All
like
right.
trying ecstasy or like MDMA for the first time, and then you had this physical
Probing.
probing of a stranger in the bathroom, and it was just ethereal. I think that was his name.
I hijacked
No,
your shit.
Yes.
I think he went by the name of Ethereal.
No, anyways, seriously.
But what I'm saying is just like with like I remember taking like ecstasy for the first time. I was like 19, 18, and I was in a place and there was one person not on it, and I remember being like, everybody I'm with that is on it felt fuzzy and connected. And this person felt cold and dark and in a shadow, and they were like different. And it was just this like we were taking something that mass produced something that was already there in our fucking brains. So it's not like it added something else into our brain. It just pumped up more of what's there to make me feel this way. But there's this physical, like you touch somebody that's also taking the same substances and they feel the same way, and then you touch somebody that's not, and that it feels like it's dead, and like your thing just stops there. And same with like psychedelics. And I remember first time I mean most times I've done psychedelics, like it scared the shit out of me. I felt awful. I was terrified. But there's a real thing of being like, holy shit, that exists. And like I don't know if it's obviously it's in our brains and it's stuff that's already there that's being produced more, but I feel like it's maybe like the beginning of us tapping. I firmly believe that like that kind of stuff is what got us intelligent in the first place when we were young, when we were like first evolving. And I think that that's maybe part of our
like the
evolution
stoned
still.
ape, Terrence McKenna stuff. Yes, of course. Well, I also think that I don't necessarily know if psychedelics are helping us like figure out the truth. I think that they are helping shake the illusion just enough for you to see the light come through the cracks.
Like maybe there's more.
And yeah, that's an important thing that I think yogis and gurus of basically the entire human history have talked about. So it doesn't need to be, like, I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not talking like, go do ecstasy, but it's like those are experiences I've had
I also
when I was
think,
young.
yeah,
where it's like it feels like you're physically connected, like exactly what Strav was saying.
I think
It's
also
like,
even to address the interdimensionality of consciousness and existence, that psychedelics are probably helpful for that. Because, like I said, like in the dream state, like where is that? What is that? What are the rules? How does that work? Why is it happening? Right. Same thing for the psychedelic state, or you brought up sleep paralysis.
I think as human beings too, we want to place everything in a category immediately because that's how we try to understand the world around us.
It's safer that way.
But what if like what makes us think that we have all the categories even figured out.
Like we
like if you don't have bro,
yeah.
that blows my mind. Like if you don't even have the box that you're supposed to put that thing into in the first place, then what are you even going to do with that concept? Like even talking about psychedelics and connection and all that stuff, it's like fucking wild. It's crazy.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back in time. I'm gonna open up some random Earthlings box. I'm gonna put my ideas in there and figure out what's going on.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Dude,
though?
do you remember during the pandemic when
I
all
just
those
don't
people,
know
I like
anything.
that.
I don't know anything.
Do you remember
I like
during
to
the
ask questions.
pandemic?
But isn't that something to know?
Where everybody was gonna like storm Area 51? Do you remember that?
Oh my God,
How
that
would
was a
you feel about
magical
that?
moment too.
Yeah.
Because there was like a Facebook thing where like hundreds of thousands of people said they were all going to go to Area 51.
Yeah.
And like half the people were like, "Hey, they're just going to mow you guys
They
down."
were gonna
with
do that
guns."
they were gonna do that anime run, remember?
the Naruto.
Yes, yes. I wanted to go. I was on tour at the time, so I was a little sad. I would have gone.
That was our tour.
Yes!
Yeah, I remember this.
And,
You're like they're storming it next week. I was like, absolutely, buddy. We're gonna get there. I know it.
but apparently now Congress is trying to storm it. So
I hope AOC.
I'm
leads
just so
the
annoyed that it's
charge.
them they get to know. Like, wait, what's that?
Nothing.
I will say it was funny when you brought up social media as like some sort of proliferation of modern consciousness, but I gotta say, watching the committee hearing with the fucking live feed of comments made me very concerned for if we're actually ready for any of this.
Oh,
Or maybe was a good reason for like maybe that there isn't an official explanation, because dude, the amount of people just making fucking the dumbest jokes and like just basically like drooling about AOC, like when we're talking about aliens.
This is me. It's just me.
No, it wasn't you. It was so many people, dude. Like right when she came on, like the comments, I was like, "What are we here for this?" What are we-
because we are stepping into a time period where it's already impossible to tell what is real and what is not real, whether it's stuff you see online or stuff the government is saying. Like, don't you think in a lot of ways this energy and focus on the UFO stuff could be very beneficial for the government to continue doing whatever they want to do and push the agendas that they want to push
Yeah,
in a way that just like further distracts people? Kind of like, I know I asked you that earlier, but
I think that was always the original goal, was to just
Yeah.
make it a new threat and then make a cash cow out of it, because it already was.
We already have Space Force. I mean,
Yeah, right?
let's dump some money in there.
Dude,
Yeah, so it's like,
I
oh,
seriously met a kid who like really, really wanted to be in Space Force. I was like, "Do you want to grab
You
a drink?"
don't?
He's like, "I can't drink. I'm trying to get into Space Force." And he literally was like living out in DC trying to be in Space Force. I was like, "Is that like a real thing? Like, what the fuck do you guys do?" He's like, I don't know. Like, my boyfriend's in the CIA. I'm gonna try to get into Space Force. I was like, "Word, all right."
I'm
Enjoy
kinda
yourself. And then me and
That's a
him,
power
me
couple.
and him were on a jet ski around the waters. It's just me and this.
What are you doing? Hold on. How did you
We're
end
in
up on a
Mexico.
jet ski? Oh, in Mexico.
Yeah, we were in Mexico, and he's like a kind of like a twink. He's a twink, and we were talking about stuff. He wants to be in Space Force, but then we were going on this jet ski, and he's like, "Oh, yeah," and I was like, "You get on," and so he got on behind me, and then me and him just drove around the ocean around this giant yacht
And
in
he's
Mexico.
just whispering.
with the
He's
sun.
whispering in
It
your
was beautiful.
ear from behind you.
He's like,
I'm
"Space
gonna be in
Force.
Space Force someday.
Yeah,
Get you on.
no, he was actually very cool. I love
sick.
that kid, but I got probed.
They need
have
to
to pee
land,
again.
bro. They need to just help us out. They need to land, help us out, and be like, "Hey guys, this is what you're doing wrong. Everyone can work together."
But maybe
We
that
can make
creates some
this-
kind of time rift,
we
right?
can
Like
make
maybe
this-
there's a reason that this has to be somewhat.
It
Yeah.
also could like I think the population control thing you have that you threw out there would make sense. They're like, wait. You guys get too harmonious. We aren't going to exist because we're going to run out of resources.
I don't
We need
actually
you,
believe that. Just
we
for
need
the
y'all to
record.
go ahead
I don't
and
believe that overpopulation.
you got to clap out like
I don't
a
believe
good amount
that's
of
real
you,
either.
real quick.
All you have to do is go on tour a couple times and see how much empty space there is.
I think.
That's true.
I mean, there's a battle right now to stop people having kids.
Oh yeah,
They want to tear that apart.
that's not new.
That's we could go down another rabbit hole.
That's
now.
it.
We're
That's
going
another
down rabbit
discussion.
holes.
But I will say
Maybe there's a way for us to even avoid becoming these 3 foot non-emotional assholes.
Dude, I know. Because what if
Right?
that's just what if that is the evolution of people just eating fucking weird shit and sitting on a phone, getting chips in your head?
Right? No, I know. Right?
Right?
Yeah. So maybe it's avoidable. Maybe it's not. I don't really know.
No one does, but it's really fun to talk
definitely
about.
now. I definitely think that a huge part of the phenomena is probably us from the future.
Okay,
Yeah.
who was?
I'm just gonna drop that on the table.
Now that Mouse Powell, it's true. That's just where I'm at right now.
Can I say what?
I don't think that all. Let me clarify. I don't think that all entities and crafts and sightings are this. I just think that a huge portion of it probably is.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff that's obsessed with the humans.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Who was the prison Mike dude from the congressional hearing? The guy who came out with the bandana on.
Dude, my boy Mario texted me. He was like, "Yo, who's that from the hood?" Up on. I don't know. I think he was just a congressman wearing an interesting hat.
It's interesting that there's people from all over too. Like the guy that opened up the congressman that opened up the video this morning. He was just sounded like a normal countryman. He's a Baptist, right?
So he's probably a Republican.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, yes, but what I'm saying is like going back to the religion thing you said before about how
He sounded open.
yeah, he sounded very open still.
You know what? They all did, dude. That's what
I thought it was really interesting that they just.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I just thought that hit me too.
They all sound.
I was like,
that.
wow, all these like old white Republican dudes and everyone else.
Because Jesus is
It's
gonna.
just it's more of a stretch for them,
well,
right?
but if aliens come down, Jesus is giving them a hug.
Like I think a liberal progressive congressman is probably like it's a lot easier for them to be like, oh yeah, aliens, duh.
Yeah.
But to see these older, like you said, like
Guys that you would think
More
would just call you a
conservative
lunatic right away.
yeah, you're right.
Be
Really-
open to this concept that like, hey, if aliens land, that doesn't mean.
I thought the whole there was like a weird tone to how they were asking all their questions. Like they'd be like, Fravor, just so you know, my daddy was in the Navy. All right, brother. So here's what I think. And then they'd start firing off their questions. They're literally like calling this dude brother on the stand. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the most bizarre. Like to be fair, I haven't watched very many, if any, congressional hearings. So I don't know if that's like a normal thing.
There is
but-
kind of a weird brodom to people that are in the military and ex-military and
Yeah.
families and all that.
He
stuff.
seemed like a guy I want to have like French toast in the morning with, and some nice coffee, and then maybe enjoy.
a little probing.
Jeremy Corbell and
just
George
seems-
Knapp said
that-
very good things about
That
him.
congressman just seemed so rad and so willing to just. I don't know.
Well, and is
I
it-
don't know though. Maybe
does-
he's a
Does
terrible
it
guy.
not fall under the category of their subcommittee of national security? Like, yes, good, let's do it. Like, I don't necessarily want the answer from those guys, but I'll take it, dude.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
This shit is so fun.
Dude, this was fun today. This has been fucking good.
Astro Camp.
Astro Camp.
Astro
is
Camp,
here.
dude. Cheers.
Camp Astro.
Cheers to Astro Camp, baby.
Hey.
Cheers.
This is the
Astro.
first.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh man.
you had that the whole time?
He's been waiting.
You know, it's fun. So I personally, and Ryan knows this about me, but I love just deep conversations about shit we don't know about. It's fun. It's fun talking to your friends about just stuff we don't know.
The Fringe.
Yes, and
Aliens, collective consciousness.
it can be loose and funny and fucking weird.
It's fun,
It doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't have to be such a straight and narrow, dry congressional experience.
Do you think we helped or we hurt the movement today?
I think we're helping.
I think we're helping too. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think we're helping.
No, I do. Because it needs to feel more. This is a party, baby.
Yeah.
We're on the precipice of answering the "Are we alone?" question.
We're
Like,
on a rock
come
flying
on,
through
guys.
space.
Dude, I hope that
People should be
everybody.
out drinking today. This is some shit.
I hope that everybody
I
listening.
guess we are.
Fine. Yeah, we are. It's like 1 p.m. and I've had 4 beers. But dude, I hope that everybody listening finds themselves a Dan E.T. Dan E.T. Uh-oh.
Yeah, look me up
I hope
online.
everyone finds a Dan E.T. in their friend group that they can just talk to about this. I honestly
We're out
think
there.
that this is probably a good time for us to kind of
Yeah.
close this one because we're at such a good closing point that I'm worried that if we go to a next thing, we're going to go way off. And
Yeah.
I want to save the good. This is going to be a repeating thing. maybe like every like 5 or 6 weeks, I think would
Yeah.
be
Love it.
perfect. Because, dude, this was a fucking blast. This
Yeah,
is so
I
much
really
fun.
enjoyed it. And I must say, both of you guys, I love both of you guys very much.
Yeah.
Love you
And
too.
yeah, it's fun to do a podcast together too because we've spent so much time literally just doing this. This is
Yeah.
normally what we would do.
This
if we
is
were
a
just hanging
common
out
section.
anyways.
Yeah, but usually like I feel like when we're hanging out, because we're in the studio and we're just kind of like, whatever. Like we're usually talking about music stuff, and then we start talking about this, and then we realize like, oh shit, we haven't done any music stuff in the last like hour. We gotta get back. So it's nice to be able to have this conversation without having anything else to do.
Yeah, we
at the
just
same
came
time.
here for this. Baby.
Let's do it again.
Yeah,
Nice to the round
Extra-temporal.
table.
yeah, that was wonderful.
I'm gonna go eat some shrimp temporal.
You're gonna get tempestrial.
You're gonna get tempestrial, dog?
Tempestrial.
All right, love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Aliens are out.